A very dear family member prompted me to get into mental health. I had spent 10 years trying to find compassionate care, to find care that actually made a difference. And we were in the best hospitals, we were in the worst hospitals, and after 10 years and we were the status quo, I just threw up my hands and I said, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to start a place where people can heal from their mental health challenges, mental illness, whatever you want to call it. And I asked my husband to join me. And he told me, you're out of your mind. And I said, no, I've never been more in my right mind than I am now. And he says, we know nothing. We have no background in mental health. And I said, we don't. We have spent 10 years looking at what doesn't work. That simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite. What is it that a person wants? They want to live by themselves. They want to have a job, maybe a family, financial independence. It's no different than what people without mental illness would want. But when you're segregated into a community and you're labeled as somebody disabled, you become that person. So I said, for starters, we're going to hire the best people we know. We're going to have a healing community setting. We are going to have something really radical like real food, not hospital food, but real food, exercise, but most importantly, we're going to give people a purpose. We're going to give them a purpose and a reason to get up in the morning and know that at the end of the day, I made a difference. And just that alone, and accept a person for who they are, where they are in that moment. Forget about their background and the future we don't know. We're going to accept them as they are right now. And then the healing begins. And that alone, I have seen over 20 years how the anxiety have gone from this to this. I'm no longer a mental health person. I'm Matt, I'm Lisbeth, I'm Don, I'm Susan, whatever my name is, I'm a person again. CooperRiis Healing Community. The name is Cooper is my husband's name and Riis is my family name. And we have 3 different programs. Actually, we have 4 now. And one is where people come to a very intensive clinical program, and it's actually paid for out of a network insurance, which is huge for a lot of families. Then the farm community is more of a therapeutic community. And then we just started an autism neurodiversity program for persons on the autism spectrum. And then we have a community program, and the reason for the community program is that when someone leaves an intentional community or therapeutic community, it's too much of a gap to come home and live by yourself because you're used to being in a community, you're used to being with people. So we started a community program where houses have 4 or 5 bedrooms, and you live there with roommates and staff. And you get support with your work, your school, and your next step in life. And then the last step is that if you wish to continue to be part of CooperRiis, you can live in your own housing, but you get all your services from CooperRiis. And we're hoping to, within the next year or 2, to start a partial hospitalization program. I prefer to call it Hospital Without Walls, and for short, PIP. And we hope to do that within the next couple of years. On June 15th in 2003, we opened our program with 4 residents and 25 staff. Fast forward to almost 20 years later, we'll have our 20th anniversary next year. We will have capacity for 85 persons, and our staff has increased to almost 200. And my husband would say we started with $1 million budget, it's now 14 million, but he is the financial person, not me. I had lunch the other day with a young man. He was in our program 2015. He was on a dual diagnosis meaning that he had mental health issues and he also had addiction issues, primarily alcohol. He said he's been sober for 7 years now, and he contributed a lot of his success to what he learned at CooperRiis. He's now caring for an ailing mother. And I said, who does the cooking? And he said, I do. I said, why, and how did you learn to cook? He said, at CooperRiis. That, even if there was just one Ryan, but there are many, many Ryans, I would say that CooperRiis is a success story.